Hey everybody, you're watching Geek This Week and I'm Talon, back again as usual. Not that there's anyone else here that can hop behind this camera to deliver your geeky news every week. Anyways, we've got a little bit of downer news to start you off with China banning some games, but we're going to bring you right back up with great news like the Crysis Remastered and some hot sexy Qubits. That's right, you heard me right, hot Qubits. Anyways, all that and more this time on Geek This Week. Oh yeah, and today I'm joined by this lovely egg-shaped unicorn, who I have not named yet. I'll let you help me with that. This week in gaming, the government of China has banned the new Animal Crossing game due to a tweet from Joshua Wong, a pro-democracy activist in Hong Kong. The tweet featured a quilt with a "Free Hong Kong" inscribed and some images mocking Jinping. To ramp things up further, China has decided to intensify regulations regarding video games in general, banning video games that involve zombies, plagues, map editing, role-playing, and the ability to unionize. The government will also be forcing players to use their real names in games, and generally preventing Chinese players from interacting with players not under their Great Firewall, in order to prevent unmonitored social interaction. These regulations seem pretty extreme for seemingly insignificant displays of political thought, and this would likely never have received the attention it is now had the Chinese government not had such a drastic reaction. The attention that China is getting for its oppressive regime lately really does make me think about how insignificant being locked inside my apartment really are, though. Crysis Remastered made a very unexpected appearance on Crytek's website last Friday, and it looks amazing. Not to mention it's dropping for all platforms later this summer. Crysis has long been regarded as the game that demands performance, and the remastered Crysis 1 seems like it's aiming to maintain that status. We can expect high-quality textures along with improved art assets to be introduced, as well as an HD texture pack, temporal anti-aliasing, SSDO, SVOGI, top-of-the-line depth fields, new lighting, motion blur, and they're even adding parallax occlusion mapping, and particle effects, where the devs deem applicable. The devs also suggest further additions like volumetric fog, shafts of light, and ray tracing, and screen space reflections that will make the game shine like it was made next year and not 13 years ago. Now this game won't look as good on the Switch, but it's going to be gorgeous on the Xbox One X and PlayStation Pro. And of course, if you have a rig that can support it, the PC. Now, we have technically seen zero of the gameplay footage, but since Crytek is teasing us with such a close release, it probably won't be long until we get our graphical superiority demands met. This week in movies, Netflix announced a Sherlock Holmes film featuring one of Netflix's most famous faces, Millie Bobby Brown. 11 from Stranger Things. You didn't really need me to tell you that though, right? Titled Enola Holmes, the movie will follow the young detective as she, presumably, solves mysteries akin to Sherlock Holmes. We also know that Henry Cavill will be involved, and I kind of just want him to be Geralt in this traditionally English setting. Though few details have been released, we do know the movie is being directed by Harry Bradbeer, responsible for Fleabag, and has actually already been filmed under Legendary Pictures. So it's unlikely we're gonna see any of those Q3 release date delays that we're expecting for a lot of other things. All right, this week in tech, qubit research is really heating up. In fact, it's about 15 times hotter than it was previously. That's right. Researchers led by Professor Andrew Zurak at the UNSW Sydney have a proof of concept that would allow qubits to operate at 1.5 Kelvin. Okay, so that's still cold as balls, but getting temperature that low is way cheaper than the current 0.1 Kelvin that the current quantum computers are required to be at to operate. This team has developed a unit cell that has 2 qubits confined in a pair of quantum dots embedded in silicon. What's great about this unit is its scalability, allowing traditional silicon chip manufacturers to construct it And it is able to operate without multi-million-dollar coolant systems. It's also much easier to integrate into conventional silicon chips, which are needed to control quantum processors. With quantum computing, heat is bad, and it leads to errors, and we don't want errors when we're computing anything. This new unit can really move us closer to the infallible quantum processors that we want. And of course, we will have a link to the initial journal piece in the doodly-doo. I do want to point out though that research was actually done last year, and it's just now that they're really starting to get excited about it. And now on to our Save Do Click segment, which is good just to go over some news that is worth knowing about, but not necessarily spending an entire segment on. Mario Maker 2 released its final update yesterday for you, adding a variety of new power-ups, bosses, and most importantly, World Maker. Check it out for your Mario fix. So if you need wheels or feet for a small desk and feel like paying an exorbitant amount for them, Apple is now selling both separately from the Mac Pro. The wheels will now only set you back $700, and the feet are only a cool $300. The Nintendo Switch 2 might have a second screen. Firmware update 10.0.0 added preliminary support for a new Nintendo hardware, and changes seem to support a secondary display. There's not a lot of info out on this right now, and nothing official. That's why it's here, but the second we know more, you better believe I'll be telling you about it. We also now have the recommended specs for Microsoft Flight Simulator, a Ryzen 5 1500 or an Intel i5 8400, supporting a Radeon RX 590 or NVIDIA GTX 970. You should also have 16 gigabytes of RAM, 4 gigs of VRAM, and 150 gigabytes of space for the game. It's a big game. Well, that's all from me this week. I do hope everyone enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you learned some interesting things about what's going on right now in the geeky world. And of course, I do want to know what you thought of today's episode, my egg-shaped pink unicorn. He doesn't really talk. I'm so lonely. So don't forget to like and subscribe and feed me with that emotional support that I need. Down below. Like and subscribe. Bye.